The Denver Broncos just found the perfect player at the perfect time. He is a special, special player, and I think he's going to make us forget all about the dead cap money owed to Russell Wilson, all about all of the picks that were traded for Russell Wilson, and he's going to make us hop off of this bandwagon of, are we team Sean Payton or team Russell Wilson? Because I think we are going to be able to unite around the fact that we are team Denver Broncos, and we have our quarterback of the future. We have found our Brock Purdy. Amidst all the chaos of the Russell Wilson news, we have found our Brock Purdy. We're going to dive into it and so much more in this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I break down all things Denver sports. Helps me out a lot if you would like and subscribe. So who is Jarrett Stidham? Jarrett Stidham has been a career backup, but he's been in really weird situations where he's backed up dudes like Cam Newton, who's a former NFL MVP, and so obviously that's a hard person to make the jump over. He's backed up people like Jimmy Garoppolo, who the Raiders just threw a ton of money to, and guys like Derek Carr, who the franchise just loves. And so he has not been in a situation where he has a clear path to the starting role. But a lot of NFL scouts, a lot of really smart football people think he is starting football quarterback material. And we're going to go through that. So Peter King and Mike Florio came out on their podcast, and they predicted that he is the odds-on favorite to be our starter next year. So all this talk about how Sean Payton is going to bring in Jameis Winston, or we're going to go get Kirk Cousins, or we're going to trade up in the NFL draft, or we're going to draft that guy from LSU. No, all of these people who are very plugged in think that Jarrett Stidham has the talent and that he is going to come out and shock the world in these final two games, and he is going to be our starter. The fact of the matter is, Russell Wilson didn't get sent home. Russell Wilson is the backup, and Sean Payton said this decision was made for football reasons, that after losing 2 of our last 3 games, that this is the offense that he has designed up and that Jarrett Stidham can run it. So I'm very, very excited to see what we have in store with Jarrett Stidham on Sunday. So if you look to just how Stidham played in the preseason, the dude balled out of control. Even in the first half, I think we dropped 41 points, 41-0 against the Rams. In the first half, he threw for almost 250 yards and a couple tutties and looked just like a different man. The way the ball comes out of his hand reminds me of like Drew Lock with a faster release, and he has he has it between the ears here in a way that Drew Lock didn't have before. If you look at his college career, he was just playing very, very well at Baylor, and Baylor had kind of all of that the scandal going on with sexual abuse, and so he left Baylor and went to Auburn, and in Auburn, in a 3-week span, beat Alabama and Georgia and looked like a stud. There are not a lot of quarterbacks who go to a place like Auburn and do that, so he looked incredible. And I think this is just a really, really telling graph here. So this is a graph of all of the top paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you take a look here, we are paying Jarrett Stidham more as a backup quarterback than several starters, and several starters who are in the playoffs. So we're paying him more than Brock Purdy. We're paying him more than Justin Fields. We're paying him more than Baker Mayfield. We're paying him more than Joe Flacco, obviously, and more than Browning with the Bengals. And the fact is, one of the absolute first things that Sean Payton did when he came to Denver was go out and sign this guy. And Sean Payton had been sitting in that Fox booth taking notes and who he wanted. And there are several people who think, even contracts aside, if you just had Jarrett Stidham or Russell Wilson, who does Sean Payton want to go and play with? He would pick Jarrett Stidham, even if Russell Wilson renegotiated for a much lower rate and we could fit him in and still build around him. A lot of people think that Jarrett Stidham runs Sean Payton's offense a lot better and plays the type of ball that Sean Payton wants. So I'm incredibly, incredibly excited about that. If you take a look at what some other scouts are saying, when Brady retired, you had a scout come out and tell Bleacher Report, it's like Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels undid all of the damage. How do they always do this? The kid looks like the second coming of who? Tom Brady. You look at just his score at the combine, that he was the 7th rated quarterback in that combine, but it really was some bad tape at Auburn that had him fall. He has since bounced back, and if you look at how he played against the San Francisco 49ers last year in Week 15, I think you'll feel very, very excited. And again, another NFL scout raved that he had first-round talent that was mucked up by a system that didn't fit him. So all of this just points to the Denver Broncos have found a special, special player. We get to see him on Sunday against the Chargers. Chargers who are going to be without Joey Bosa, Chargers who are going to be without Keenan Allen, be without Josh Palmer, be without Josh Herbert. The Broncos have a very, very good chance at bouncing back. Now, the real million-dollar question here in Denver is, what do you actually want to happen on Sunday? I think the mixed opinion here is, if Jarrett Stidham is the quarterback of our future, we want to win. We want to win this week. We want to win next week against the Raiders and have all that momentum pull us into next year with the quarterback of the future. Now, if Jarrett Stidham isn't the guy, it actually isn't in our favor to win on Sunday. It isn't in our favor to win the next week. We would prefer to go into next year with a higher draft pick, with more ammunition for Sean Payton to go find the guy of the future. We want to win next week. We want to lose next week so that we have so that the Chargers finish above us and we have a lower strength of schedule the next year, right? If we finish as 4th in the AFC West, that means we get to play the next division at home, the division leaders. And so it is in our best interest to lose next week. And so this really shows me that Sean Payton thinks that he has the guy, because if he doesn't have the guy, it would be in his best interest to lose next week. And if Russell Wilson gives him a better chance of losing, he would have kept Russell Wilson in. And so I think this shows Sean Payton has his guy. He is confident in what we have going forward. And I think we all should be really, really excited about that, Broncos country. So weigh in on the comments. What do you want to happen this week? Do you want Jarrett Stidham to win and be the quarterback of the future, be our Brock Purdy? Or do we want to stay on this, like, be angry at Sean Payton and hurt for Russell Wilson? What do you want to have happen? The last thing I want to just show real quick is, what are our playoff shots here, and how does all of that play out here? So if we look up New York Times playoff predictor again, this is kind of crazy. So if we go to the Broncos' chances of making the NFL playoffs, like currently we know that it is not ideal. Keep scrolling past us that we're at a 5% chance, but if we win out, that bumps us up to a 20% chance. But there are some real things here that could help our chances of making the playoffs. So Patriots, we saw, came in and shocked us. What if they shock the Bills? We think the Seahawks are going to win at home against the Steelers. The Bengals beat the Chiefs, which open up our chances of making the AFC West run. And then the next week, what has to happen? If the Chargers beat the Chiefs and we win out, we win the AFC West. But let's say the Chiefs still win. We need the Browns to beat the Bengals, Titans to beat the Jags, Dolphins to beat the Bills, Ravens to beat the Steelers, Texans to beat the Colts. And then all we still need to happen is this week is the Texans beat the Titans, or the Raiders beat the Colts. So the chances are still very, very high in Broncos country. So let's not be angry at Jarrett Stidham. Let's get our full Broncos support behind him, and let's ride with him, because I think he can lead us to the playoffs this year and for many years to come. But weigh in on the comments. What do you actually want to happen this week in Broncos country? Let's ride.